Okay, patch 8.23 preseason. I will try to do this quicker than everyone else, just in case. This probably won't be as detailed as the other patch notes videos that other people do, because I'm not going to make this like an hour long. This will be like 20 minutes at most. Okay, Aatrox, little nerf. He's still going to be really good. His lane phase didn't change, which is his best part. He's still going to be really strong, even in team fights. Makes him a little weaker when he's at low HP, but he's still going to be good. Ezreal. Oh, let me lower this a little bit. Ezreal. Little buff to his W. I don't think he necessarily needed it, but this doesn't change too much. His AP is going to be better, but I don't know if people are going to be playing AP Ezreal. His R got buffed for team fights, but it's worse for when you're trying to set up waves, because now it does less damage to minions. He'll probably still be around the same spot. Lissandra, if you haven't seen her passive change, you should look it up. She gets like zombies that explode on people when she kills them, instead of her old passive, which was basically infinite mana. What that means is her lane phase is worse, but her team fights are better. And to compensate for that, they did some mana buffs. So she'll probably do... She will do overall less damage with her basic abilities and her ult, but her passive should make up for that if you're getting kills in a team fight. Her lane phase will be a little bit worse if she's spamming spells on the wave. Hard to say if she'll still be good or not. I think she'll still be good, especially because Aftershock didn't get touched. Talia got kind of fucked. Her objective taking is now way slower than it used to be, because now the multi-hit does 50% to everything. Even with the cooldown reduction early game, I don't think it makes up for the less damage you'll deal to a camp. I guess this is good for mid lane Talia, but her wave clear is going to be shit now that the minions also take 50%. I don't know. Talia will be in a weird spot. Yorick, more little bug fix nerfs. Yay, haha, Yorick nerfs. Doran Shield is really good against people with poke now. Up to 30 health is a lot, and that'll be really good versus people like Teemo. Or I think this is specifically for ranged versus melee matchups in top lane, or anything with a lot of poke. So if you're actually taking damage from the poke, you're going to regenerate a good bit of it, especially if you have second wind too. So I kind of like this change. It makes it worse for like taking damage at the start, because it goes up to 30 health instead of a flat 20 health. So like you can hit someone who's full HP now, and the Doran Shield won't instantly heal them all the way back up. Gensu's got changed to be better for, like, I guess just Varus. I think it'll be a lot worse for everyone else. Gonna see less Gensu's builds for sure. Jungle items, you can funnel again. Will we see funnel anymore? I'm not sure. It's really hard to say like if there's still gonna be funneling. You might see Taric Yi be coming back like just in solo queue, but even then I didn't see it that much before, so maybe you won't see it that much now. This is hard to say. Relic Shield got compensated for the minion changes. Wards and trinkets, they're basically lowering vision overall. So instead of 3 control wards, you have 2, which makes it so you don't have just like kind of a free sweeper in one area, or at least one less free sweeper. So now instead of being able to put down 2 wards and then 1 where you want it to be, you would do this a lot in pro play, where if you had 3 wards or 3 control wards, and your sweeper was down, you'd place a control ward down to clear specifically in one area of vision, place another one down to clear a different set of vision, and then place the last one down near, usually at that phase in the game you're at Baron. You'd place it around in a Baron area. So now you can only do it once. Not sure how I feel about it. I feel like lower vision is not great, just because vision has already been getting nerfed so much. And along with that, the trinket scaling, you get a minute less late game on your warding totem, which is pretty huge. Honestly, that might mean the comeback of 6 different blue trinkets, like there was at the beginning of Season 8. Warding totem got a lot worse, for sure. Turret plating, this is probably the biggest change of the game because it makes the lane phase longer. So the whole idea behind this is that they wanted lane phase to be longer, and that if you died to a jungle gank or something, your turret wouldn't just instant die. And now you get to just kind of farm under tower if you're behind instead of have to lose your tower, and then the enemies would roam to the other lanes and take that tower. It's going to be harder to take towers, and you're going to be able to stay in your lane longer. That is a good and a bad thing depending on the situation. Sometimes, like if they freeze and your tower is just always going to be up, you're going to be going down like 100 CS in lane phase if you're just getting shit on. But maybe like with the other minion changes, like based on movement speed and stuff, and now there's bounties on farming minions, I guess there's advantages and disadvantages to taking the tower or not taking the tower. Obviously the enemy should be still pressing the tower because the plates grant 160 gold for each plate to break. They do take less damage, so it will take a long time for these first outers to go down, specifically before the 14-minute mark, because that's when their plating falls off and they lose all the MR and armor they get. So you can expect your turret never to go down ever again at like the 8 to 10 minute mark. Like before, you would die to a Dark Harvest jungler who get another stack from you, hit it for like a couple hundred extra damage, or let's say the enemy top layer demolish. Even with those things now, it wouldn't take down your tower. So I guess enjoy your longer lane phase, whether that's a good or a bad thing, because some champions excel in the lane phase and a longer lane phase makes them more viable, such as people like Darius. But now it's really hard to say whether this is going to be a good or bad thing, because turrets do more damage now and they ramp up harder. But maybe this all like balances out and the game's going to be relatively the same, except with a slightly longer lane phase. You can expect to be getting more gold in the lane phase though because of these turret platings, at least for the person with advantage. Turret plating falls off at 14 minutes, so the turret will grant less gold past that time. So pushing a turret early is still really advantageous, purely for gold aspect and not for like macro game. So it's still going to be good to push that turret. Turret adjustments. First break gives less gold because of all the gold you'll be getting from the plates. Outer turrets have 1,200 more HP. Hit harder. All this 80 scaling and 80 cap makes it hit harder during the game. And instead of the flat armor and MR they give, it now has the turret plating, which gives it more armor and MR depending on how many people are there and how many plates you've destroyed. Same global gold. Basically, all of these changes are turrets hit harder and give less gold for the global team, but it should give you more in local. So it should be a little more risk to dive a turret now, because they're just going to naturally hit harder pretty early into the game, really. So maybe like if Kindred or something gets, or at least gets meta again, where you just go top lane and level 3 dive tower. Hopefully that won't happen now because turrets are a little stronger. But I do also hope it's not enough to where turret dives aren't even a thing. Because if turret dives aren't a thing, everybody's going to be playing like a bitch and just farming waves, which is not fun. Turret dives are good for the game, I believe, but they have to be balanced correctly where turrets don't just do nothing and where turrets don't just one-shot you. So they got to find that like equilibrium. So the minions, they now scale harder, and they're going to be sprinting down your lane at 25 minutes. I didn't even notice this movement speed bonus at 20 minutes, but now you will definitely notice it. 100 at 25 minutes plus 25 at 10 minutes, so that's 10 minutes from before that they're going to start running faster. I think this is going to be a really noticeable change, and what this will do is this will make gold kind of reach you faster. So your resets are going to be really need to be timed correctly, because if you don't time your resets correctly, minions are just going to sprint down a lane and reach a tower before you can get there, and they will get a turret really quickly. The whole goal behind this change is to make people who are winning win faster, And the people who are losing need to time their resets and wave management better. It'll be an interesting change, especially in solo queue, because these kind of concepts aren't used by a lot of people that aren't in higher elos. They just kind of reset whenever they feel like it instead of planning it. It'll be really punishing, is all I have to say, if you time a bad reset, because before you could reset and just run back before the minions reach turret. Now when they're traveling at Olympic speed, you're just going to reach your turret and it'll go down. At least post 14 minutes when the turret plating falls off. So, and along with that, all the minions are getting scaling, so they take more hits, and maybe that'll make up for how fast they're running now. Hard to say. I wouldn't really know just from these numbers. I'd gonna have to see when the preseason patch drops, and that's pretty much the same around all with the casters and the cannons now scale infinitely, or they did before, but now they spawn earlier, 10 minutes earlier every wave, so 25 minutes there's going to be cannon minions, which means more gold is going to be generated just because they give a lot of money, and that means people are going to be full builds sooner, which I think is a good change. Everyone likes being full build. That could potentially mean 80 carries are going to be better this patch with the more gold that's coming in. Super minions, I'd say it's relatively unchanged, and I like this super minion to show up on the minimap. Like, a good player and a good team will note that they exist, but it's nice to see them even through fog. Honestly, I kind of like that change. A lot of people will say that reduces strategy of playing around supers, but playing around supers was like pretty obvious for someone to do if you had a brain, and so maybe this makes it so people without a brain can at least like acknowledge supers' existence, which even in higher elo people will just ignore supers. But now, like, it's pretty easy not to ignore them, or to rephrase that, it's so easy to see them now that it should be really obvious that you need to clear that, but they will still have the same effect of drawing pressure to their lane. Epic monster respawn time, really interesting, man. Like, they haven't changed this in years, and this is, I don't know what to feel about this, because like you're gonna be fighting over neutral objectives even more, and like Riot just wants to make League a clown fiesta with all the fights that are gonna be happening now. So neutral objectives are actually stronger than what they were before, and they respawn faster, which means wave clear mids are gonna be a lot worse because there's gonna be more fights in general. There has to be. Either you're gonna give up everything and lose, or you're gonna fight and lose, I guess, with dignity. You go down with a fight, because losing these objectives is gonna be huge this patch. So hopefully with the comeback mechanics of the bounties, maybe the games will have kind of even fights, but I doubt it, just because like a winning team will be able to take objectives uncontested a lot of the time and just smack the other team. But I guess if they fuck up, then they're gonna get heavily punished for it. Right now, snowballing in this patch, snowballing is gonna be super effective unless you fuck up. And what you do fuck up, enemy team gets a huge increase in gold, and then the game will be more even. So they're rewarding you for being ahead, and then they're like slamming you down if you fuck up, which I guess is an okay thing. Drag spawn at 5 minutes. I love this change because all the junglers cheesing drag at like level 3 at 3 minutes was stupid. I think that was just completely unstrategic. It was just like a cheese strat. So I like this at 5 minutes. Respawn time 5 minutes less, or 1 minute less. Get a little more gold for getting it, which whatever, that doesn't change much. More EXP is nice. That'll actually mean like fighting for the drag purely for the XP and the gold might be a little more worth it. But not just that, every single early game Drake is being buffed, which is pretty insane. I don't think they needed a buff Infernal, and if they did, 8% to 9% would have made sense, but 10% is a lot for our first dragon. That being said, Mountain's going to be insane. I think Mountain might be the best dragon to get for your first drag now. 16%. That's extremely good, and it's going to make taking Baron and Towers way easier. Mountain Dragon might be highest priority in this patch. Ocean Drake, probably about the same. Honestly, I don't value Ocean Drake very highly unless I have a Xerath on my team or something. I think Ocean Drake is still going to be the worst overall. And even later game, it's like whatever, they got an Ocean Dragon. Cloud Dragon, I love. I think people underrate Cloud Drake. 3% MS is nutty. That's like back when old runes you got 3 quints. That's essentially kind of like this. So drags are insane. Infernal and Mountain, nutty. Cloud Dragon, pretty damn good. Ocean, about the same. You're going to be wanting to fight for these dragons, no matter what it is. Unless it's Ocean, then you can give it up. Jungle experience, I am not completely sure what these mean since I don't jungle a lot. Seems early game is going to be about the same, but late game they get less XP. I don't know how I feel about that, since getting camps late game is pretty scarce, since a lot of the times you have to be with your team. I'm sure a jungler would be able to tell you about this better than I can. Rune stats, basically you can pick what you want now. No matter what champion you pick, or no matter what rune path you pick, you can pick your own stats. So that's actually, I like this a lot for tanks, because I remember how much I was bitching about tanks not being able to go attack speed anymore because precision was practically worthless on them. But now I can go attack speed on my Maokai and my Orin and my Shen again. I love it. Like, I really like this change, because a lot of the time you had really specific pages for tanks, and this helps me go back to that. So this is good. Now you can't take fleet footwork on everyone, including mages. So nice. Celerity, trash. Dark Harvest, I guess this will be good for poke. It's so hard to say because you have to get them down 50% health. I don't think you take this jungle anymore, but it will be solid on some laners, especially laners that fight a lot. And if you see someone with Dark Harvest, you're probably going to want to fight them less. So when you see people take this rune, you're going to have to be careful about feeding them the Dark Harvest stacks. I kind of like it. I kind of like how picking this rune makes the lane a different kind of lane. Like, you see them Dark Harvest, it's okay. We can camp him and deny him Dark Harvest stats, or we can just like play safe and deny Dark Harvest stats. But if you're on the enemy, if you're the person who took Dark Harvest, you're like, hey, camp me and let me farm Dark Harvest off the enemy champion. I kind of like it. Also, old Dark Harvest was lame. Ravenous Center nerf, needed it. It's too good. It's probably still going to be pretty solid. Demolish nerf, slash buff, like it goes quicker but it does less damage. 75 less damage is not enough to make it trash, so I like it. Shield bash, insane on people like Shen. People keep on talking about how Sion will abuse this, but I don't think so. Like, Sion really doesn't auto attack that much. Like, I don't know why people are going. I get Sion is pretty strong right now and he probably needs a nerf, but like, shield bash isn't going to be insane on him. It's just going to be okay. I think this will be insane on Shen, and that's about it. But it won't be bad on other people with shields. Bone plating moved down to row 2. Expect a lot of shield bash bone plating. This is kind of good though, because now you either have to take bone plating or second wind. So now you can't just take both and be really safe in lane. I feel like Demolish will be the new rune to take tier 1, since not everybody can use shield bash correctly, and the other one is completely horrible. Font of Life or whatever it is, like, no one takes Font of Life. I wish they had changed that or buffed it or something. Like, no one takes Font of Life. I took Font of Life a couple of games when the season started and it was trash. Bone plating is a little bit better for quick trades and worse for the extended. So that means people who literally all you have to do is auto attack someone with bone plating and it goes out in a second and a half. Bone plating is almost only good for people who need to trade with consecutive abilities quick, and it will only get its value if they actually do that consecutive trade. I think bone plating is a lot more situational now, which is good. Chrysalis removed, whatever, like, fine. Overgrowth got a little change. I think this is fine too. It's not a big change. It'll be about the same thing. Klepto got kind of buffed and kind of nerfed. Apparently, if you only get one attack of Klepto off, it gives less. If you get two, it's a little more than before. I wish they removed Klepto in the first place. Like, why does this exist? Please remove Klepto. Maybe next season. Bounties will be, they're punishing people even more for being ahead, which I know a lot of people are complaining about. I agree. Like, why do you keep on punishing people for being ahead? 1 through 3 kills, it's the same, but the more kills you get, the more you're going to be worth, even more than before. And it's pretty insane how much gold you're going to give if you mess up. So don't mess up, I guess. Same with the minion and monster gold bounties. If you're that far ahead and you're getting so much gold from minions, even if you don't get kills, you're still going to give a bounty off of getting minions, which I really don't like. But some people are saying this change isn't as big as it seems because it's the average of everybody on the team. So like, let's say top laner's doing really well and the enemy bot laner's doing really well, it'll average out and there won't be gold bounties. But let's say one team is just smashing, they're going to give kill bounties on top of minion bounties. Bounties no longer increase mid-combat if a champion earns multiple kills and dies immediately. So now, like, if an enemy team gets 4 kills in one fight, so they have a 4-kill bounty, 400 gold, and instantly die as soon as they get their quadra kill, you will not get that bounty gold until their next death, which is kind of strange. It doesn't say how long like immediately dies means. Like, is that 3 seconds? Is that 5 seconds? If it told me how long, I could tell you if that was a big change or not, but it does not tell us the time. So the losing team that has bounties give less gold. So like, even if one player on the losing team is like 8, say you're like 10-0 but you're still losing, if you get shut down, you give the winning team less gold, which is nice because sometimes when you're the carry on the team and it feels like you mess up once and give them a bunch of gold, game is 100% over. But now, let's say you're the only person that's fed on your team and the rest of your team are bots and you die, game's not as over because you give less gold. Minimum of 20% of normal values, which is a lot less. So that's kind of good. And now, even if you have more than 1,000 gold bounty, which very rarely happens anyway, it'll roll over to the next death, which I'm okay with because, like, the gold like this doesn't really happen very often, and if it does, whatever. Like, it'll do the same thing as it did before. I can't int anymore without giving more gold than a cannon, which is great because inters should be punished. Teleport changes. I like the 4 seconds. I don't like the not being able to cancel it. People are still going to take TP, but I guess now there's going to be more inting TPs. I really don't like this change, but I guess we'll have to see what it's going to go to. I predict TP will be changed pretty shortly after this comes out. Like, people are going to start complaining and people are going to see how it does on the live patch or on the live servers, and TP will be changed again, I predict. Whether that's cooldown or if this just gets straight up removed. And that's about it. I'm not going to go over like the ranked changes and like the queues and positional queue and all that. So, thanks for watching, and have fun in the Clown Fiesta preseason.